Welcome to the Depth Dive. We got excerpts you sent in from Sue Monk Kids' The Book of Longings, and we've really taken a plunge.
We certainly have.
Our mission today is basically to unpack its historical setting, get into the unique story, and really understand Anna, the main character. We want to keep it engaging, spark some of those aha moments you told us you appreciate.
Think of it as your quick guide, but, a thorough one, into Anna's world and her writings in the first century.
Okay, let's get into it. What's the first thing that strikes you?
Well, the setting, absolutely. First century Israel under Herod Antipas, and it's not just like a backdrop. It feels incredibly real.
Yeah.
There's that opening line. It was the first day of the month of Tishri, but the cool fall rains had not yet come. Instantly you're there. You feel the time of year.
Yeah. It's a contrast too, isn't it, from her earlier book, The Red Tent, which was more nomadic.
Totally different. Here, Anna's in Sepphoris, in a pretty well-off home, comparatively.
Right. Her father's the head scribe to Herod Antipas. That's significant.
Very. And we meet her mother, her aunt, and importantly, her adopted brother Judas. We'll need to talk more about him later.
Definitely. And there's that detail about the Greek influence in the house, even though they followed Judaic laws outwardly. Sets up an interesting tension.
It does. And just like the Red Tent, the women are absolutely central to this story.
But in a different way, right? It's not just oral tradition.
Exactly. Anna feels this urgent need to write down the longings of women. She actually says, a woman's holy of holies are longings.
Wow, that's powerful, giving voice to what's usually unspoken.
Precisely. And for her, writing isn't just recording. She believes the act itself of writing evoked powers, often divine, but sometimes unstable.
That entered the letters and sent a mysterious animating force rippling through the ink. I love that quote. It's like the words have life.
Yes, it's her way of fighting back against being ignored, being forgotten, making sure women's stories last.
Which is a really potent idea for that time, and that kind of sets the stage for how Jesus is portrayed in the book.
It does. The excerpts show him very much as a Jewish man of his time, following the customs. It seems less about religion in a doctrinal sense and more like history unfolding through Anna's eyes.
More of a character within her story, allowing for interpretation.
Right, and our first glimpse of him is through Anna, isn't it? At the market.
Yeah, she sees him helping his sister with yarn, and she thinks, what manner of man assists a woman with the balling of her yarn?
Which tells you a lot about the expectations back then. And hence, maybe he's a bit different.
And then immediately there's that intense moment where Antipas's guards chase him. He takes a beating.
A flash of danger, maybe foreshadowing.
And Anna keeps the red thread he dropped. It feels significant, that small object.
It really does, a tangible link. Now, let's talk about Judas for a moment, her adopted brother.
Okay. He's not just a simple villain figure, is he?
Not at all. The book gives him depth. Anna remembers him as a troubled and broken-hearted child who needed extra love. That adds layers.
And he suffers from messianic fever, which apparently was common in Galilee then.
Yeah, that historical note is key. Galilee was buzzing with expectation for a Messiah. It adds to the tension of the era.
Makes sense. And amidst all this political and religious fervor, Anna has her own crisis, this betrothal she doesn't want to Nathaniel ben Hananiah.
Right. And what does she do? She turns to ritual, to writing. Her aunt gives her an incantation bowl.
And she writes, bless this largeness in me. It's so personal.
And the aunt tells her that inking her longings is a form of prayer. Very comforting. Then Anna puts the red thread, the Jesus connection, in the bowl with a little figure of a girl. It's all her hopes bundled together.
That longing for Jesus definitely grows after that first meeting. She sees him as a single shard of light.
Yeah, and it actually drives the plot. She decides to hide her scrolls in a cave, partly hoping she might run into him again.
A brave move, defying her family. And I love the little detail about the breakfast she packs for her guide. Lavi, goat cheese, almonds, and diluted wine.
Those details make it feel so real, don't they? Grounded.
They do, and she does find Jesus again, near a balsam grove singing the Kaddish.
The Kaddish, yes. A prayer of mourning, usually, adds another layer to him. And Anna is captivated. His voice cast a spell of beauty over me, she says.
That connection is immediate. But the story doesn't ignore the harsh realities, especially for women, like Tabitha.
Ah, yes. Tabitha's story is brutal. Raped, her tongue cut out. It's horrifying.
And it becomes a major sort of touchstone for Anna.
It really does. Anna reflects, everything I knew about rape I'd learned from the scriptures, which says a lot about the limited, often damaging perspectives available.
So what does she do? She decides to write Tabitha's story. To give her my anger, as she puts it.
A powerful act.
Yeah.
Using her writing to fight back against silencing, against injustice. It's a form of defiance.
Absolutely. But conflict isn't just external. There's Judas, her brother. His zealous beliefs clash with hers.
He's deep into the zealot movement, right? Opposing Rome. And he thinks Nathaniel, her fiancé, is basically the devil.
Intense. That whole political climate is just simmering. And then things take a drastic turn, the plague.
Yeah, a plague hits Sepphoris. Nathaniel dies. Which frees Anna from the marriage, technically.
But it backfires. She gets blacklisted, ostracized, even more isolated.
And it's during this time she ends up with Jesus in that cave, the one with her scrolls.
The text notes that this is Jesus as constructed in her imagination, which is an interesting narrative choice.
It emphasizes her perspective. And she wonders about him. I wonder if, like me, he possessed a longing for something forbidden. It humanizes him, makes their connection feel more personal.
And she opens up to him there, tells him her brother's a fugitive, describes herself as a student, an ink maker, a composer of words, a collector of forgotten stories.
Laying herself bare. And she asks him that pointed question. You break bread with a woman and a Gentile, highlighting the boundaries they're crossing.
Her reason: I spoke of them because I wish you to know and understand me. It ties into that deep human need for connection, maybe even echoing the Song of Solomon.
Beautifully put. But the outside world intrudes again. Anna sees Judas being beaten, bound.
A stark reminder of the violence of the times. And possibly foreshadowing.
Definitely. And then Anna makes this incredibly risky deal with Antipas. She agrees to sit for his artist.
So her likeness ends up in a mosaic.
In exchange for Judas's freedom. A huge gamble.
And Phasaelus makes that sharp comment. Judas is more of a threat now than before. Ominous.
Very. And Anna's own rebellious streak kicks in again. She swipes a writing plaque, becomes a fugitive.
Until Jesus steps in dramatically, claims her as his betrothed to save her from being stoned.
Which must cause massive ripples with her family, especially her mother. That bitterness the text mentions. Maybe it's about lost identity or jealousy, complex family stuff.
For sure. And then the story world widens. We meet Jesus' family, Mary, his siblings, and John the Immerser.
Right, Anna and Jesus travel to meet John. And the journey itself is dangerous robbers on the road. It just shows you the risks people face daily.
And it's on that road they find Tabitha again, beaten.
Which brings that theme back powerfully, the need to be heard, understood, and Mary giving Tabitha the lyre.
Giving her back her voice. Symbolically, it's incredibly moving.
It is, but Anna can't stay. Antipas is still after her, and Jesus is about to start his ministry. So she has to flee to Egypt.
Which opens up a whole new chapter, Alexandria, a center of learning.
A completely different vibe. Rich with history, focused on knowledge, preserving memory through writing. Though at first Anna and her aunt are kind of confined.
But they persist, don't they? Searching for Yaltha's lost daughter who became an Isis priestess. And Anna works as a scribe, learning to make papyrus rolls.
Always connected to writing. And eventually they visit the Great Library, a healing sanctum, the inscription says. Imagine that bustling place.
Amazing. A world dedicated to knowledge. And even far away, Anna keeps that connection to Jesus through prayer.
That shared ritual is important. Later, they find refuge in Therapeuti, a community focused on study, writing, prayer.
A place where different beliefs are explored. Anna even writes a hymn there, learns about the Codex book format. She keeps growing.
It seems like a haven, until that letter arrives from Judas.
Oh, right. Detailing his plan for Passover, his betrayal of Jesus.
His rationale, the sacrifice of one for many, it's chilling. And Anna instantly knows. She tries desperately to get back, to warn Jesus.
But it's too late. The tragedy unfolds.
And after the crucifixion, Anna makes choice. She returns to Egypt with her aunt, to that community of seekers, philosophers, finding her own path forward after such loss.
And Tabitha wants to join them too, asking if God can be found in music. It weaves everything together, healing, expression, the search for meaning.
It does. And then comes Yaltha's final instruction to Anna, near the end of her life. Bury your writings so one day they can be found again.
Passing the torch, ensuring the story survives.
So Anna, now a leader herself, buries 30 copies in the desert. That idea of being found again, of preserving these silent stories, it feels very resonant.
Yeah, it connects to bigger ideas about history, memory, and whose stories get told. The whole novel really wraps you up in its world.
So, emerging from this deep dive into the Book of Longings, we've seen Anna's journey, the power she finds in writing, the vivid historical world, and how these stories intertwine.
It really is a captivating read.
Which leaves us with a thought for you, our listener. Thinking about all the stories lost to time, the voices silenced. What significance do you feel there is in writing down individual experiences? What other stories like Anna Scroll's Buried in the Sand might still be out there waiting for us?
Something to definitely ponder. Thanks for exploring this with us today.
My pleasure. It was fascinating.
For Read It or Skip It, I'm your host.
And I'm your expert, wishing you happy reading until next time.